Hello everyone, this is Koji from Celestial Rhythms. It's January the 21st, 2021, and we just got thrown a big curveball by existence. Yesterday, as we all know, there's this new administration now in, and the White Hats had something planned, and at the last minute they had to pull their plans off because something came up which would have hurt lots of people. That's my interpretation of the things. Simon Parkes talks about it. You can listen to him, the link is below. So the big aspect of yesterday in astrology was the Mars-Uranus conjunction, which is a wild energy. The first time Mars and Uranus met in the sign of Taurus since 1942. That was in the middle of World War II, and I guess you get the feeling for the intensity of that energy. Very much hanging on and pushing through, extreme determination on one side, but extreme stubbornness and difficulties and hardship potential on the other side, and we are sure feeling that today in its full force. So today is actually, I just want to throw something in here which I just read here as we get deeper into this. This was out Politico. Pentagon blocked members of the president's incoming administration from gaining access to critical information about current operations according to new details provided by transition and defense officials. That's exactly what Simon Parkes was talking about, that the military is not supporting the new administration. Actually, the military has truly taken over power. What we see is just a clown show which is allowed to happen to wake more people up. But let me get there one step at a time. So the Mayan calendar always is powerful. So yesterday was 11 Kaban. It so happens that every 4 years the same day signs correlate with the same Gregorian calendar date. So always on January 20th, every 4 years there's a Kaban day. The American nation was actually founded on a Kaban day. Kaban is the earthquake, when the earth shakes, when new ideas pop into the open. It's a very initiating energy. It's the swirls of the incense which rise up to heaven, turmoil and new thought patterns. A day which usually shakes reality really through, and no question, yesterday was one of those. And on that note, since 1937, all American administrations were sworn in on a Kaban day. Let that just resonate for a moment, shows you the power of that frequency in correlation with the American nation. 11, that's a more difficult number. The 11th day, you see, we started here on the 10th or the 9th of January with one Manik, the healing hand. This is the 13 days of Manik, a healing cycle of bringing back that, bringing all the things back in proportion. I guess that's what the idea is. Manik is what we, with our human intelligence, can add to existence. It is our intelligence put in action, so to say. So the 11th day, it was yesterday, and today is certainly, we all feel that, a very difficult day. It's the mirror, the white crystal mirror, a day of insight, of questioning, of regrouping. It's also the sacrificial knife, the wound which we receive, which then will serve as an initiation. And I guess that's what we all feel today, kind of wounded and in need to regroup, to reset our energies as individuals and as a collective both. So this is a big day. Tomorrow will be a portal day, 13 Kawak, the blue cosmic storm. Another key day, it will be bringing in lots of new connections. New Kawak is about powerful interactions, like the lightning strike interacts with Earth, heaven interacting with Earth. So on that note, it is interesting that we are on that Etsnap mirror energy today of going through an initiation. That's what it really feels. So if you look at the Mayan calendar in a bigger way, quickly, that's where we are today on the 12th day here of this 13-day cycle. Tomorrow, that red portal day. And then we get into the Ahau cycle. This is an interesting one that starts on the 23rd and lasts through February 4. Ahau is the solar lord. It's a very idealistic world which is put out. So I guess that will be the time when this new administration will kind of just be so in their own space and feel of things, and everybody will feel happy and contented, and everything has gone as good as they could for these people. So you see, there's one thing. Why was this allowed to happen? The good guys had all the plans in place to take him out. We know that. Last minute they had to change plans because the bad guys were able to pull something off which would have, as I said, probably caught lots of people, cost lots of people's lives, and something really difficult. They were kind of saying, if you do that, we do this. So the good guys pulled back. Now think, my opinion is we're still on the best possible timeline. Why I say that? Okay, if really the White Hats would have been that desperate that this was the one and only chance to get this cabal taken down, to do that first big initial offensive, then they would have done it. However, they refrained. They didn't want to go there because they know there's a better way to deal with this. Yes, it will take a little longer. People have first to wake up in greater amounts. But it will be the people's revolution now. It's now in our hands. And we have been activated for the last 4 years. President Trump has shown us, the people, how to fight, how to be strong, how to stand in those strong winds of conflict and of facing all the hardship and the critique. We have learned to honor our sovereignty and see how precious our freedom is. This is far from finished. We are just at a very important turning point. Now, I want to go back a little bit. On the 13th of Actually, let's start with this one. That's the one I want to show you. That was on the 13th of January. Juan O Savin, here you see 13th of January. That was when this was published. And Juan O Savin, by the way, I think that's a code name for 107. It's exactly sounding like that, and I think it's kind of a play on the 007, kind of a next level up 107. That's kind of my interpretation. So this person who never shows his face, this is the Washington Monument. He looks out onto the Washington Monument during this 1 hour clip, and actually there's a few times when he zooms in on this, and as we know, the monument is really the symbol of the deep state. So that in itself is interesting, but the message he gave on that 13th is Biden will be sworn in, but we will prevail. Take a deep breath. So think Project Looking Glass. The big events are known in advance by those who are able to use that extraterrestrial technology of looking into the future, of seeing what is coming. There are certain events which can't be avoided, like 9/11, and like whatever another big one would be the election of President Trump in 2016. There's some landmark events which are pre-given. These are 100%. They have to happen. They are initiators for a new level of reality, of consciousness. So this was important. And Juan O Savin is very high up in the chain of command, very close to the president, most likely, and related to that Q group. I'm very sure of that. It's the same language. Juan O Savin has been quite active in the last few days, today and yesterday too, so please look it up. The inauguration and the near-death experience of America. That's what we are feeling right now. That's that sacred wound which has been afflicted to speed up the awakening. So yes, they were saying we don't want to inflict unnecessary harm. Human lives are too precious. We will do it another way. It will take a little longer, 45 to 60 days. That's what Juan O Savin is saying in that 13th of January broadcast. Okay, so it's kind of we're in a defeat in the moment, and it's interesting that astrology is exactly saying the same thing. I already had written about that in context of that Juan O Savin January 13th revelation. Jupiter and Saturn have been in the area of the zodiac which is related to hexagram 41, which is decrease, between the end of the year and January 21st. Just today, Jupiter actually moved on into the next field of energy. Now, Jupiter and Saturn are the two structural forces of society. So, let's have a closer look at hexagram 41 for a second. I pulled up here this translation by Richard Wilhelm. Decrease. The hexagram represents a decrease of the lower trigram in favor of the upper. So it's the lower frequencies which are lessened in favor of the upper. So we have not really been given the material success we were after, but this is enhancing our spiritual powers. That's kind of in a nutshell. It's a energy which is very humble, And so I don't want to redo everything here. If the foundations of a building are decreased in strength and the upper walls are strengthened, the whole structure loses its stability naturally. So that's kind of how we feel right now. We have lost our stability. Likewise, a decrease in the prosperity of the people in favor of the government is out and out decrease. And the entire theme of the hexagram is directed to showing how the shift of wealth can take place without causing the sources of wealth to take place, without causing the sources of wealth. Well, I think there's a miss. Yeah. Anyway, you get the kind of the message. I think that there's an yeah, it's not making sense here. But I guess you get the idea of what I'm saying here. It is that energy of pulling back, regrouping, understanding that, yes, we have been hurt on the more dense frequencies, and this will inspire us to become more refined and spiritually powerful. The next week particularly is having that frequency, as the sun will cruise through these degrees 2 to 730 of Aquarius. So let's go to the midpoint energy. Right, that was the one, Mars-Uranus, with the American People's Chart, where these two energies meet, where the American nation's basic energies are interacting. It's kind of that idea of relationship. Everything in this reality we live in is about relationship. We come here to relate, learn to relate with others, and to eventually respect one another and see that you are another me, I'm another you. That paradox of individuality and the collective being the same, that's what we're here to learn. And so that principle of relationship works on all levels, and is reflected in this technique of using the midpoints. So interesting here was the last degrees of this hexagram, which still is fully in the four mutual signs. The cutting line here is 28 degrees and 15 minutes, which is an interesting place, as it's still in the old sign, but it's the start of the new energy. So we're fully in the old energy, so to say, and particularly challenging are these 2 degrees. This is hexagram 6, which is here still active conflict, and 36, darkening of the light. When I saw this, I had my suspicion, is there anything here which is not really working out as we would wish, and certainly so. Another indicator for something odd, to say the least, was this Sun-Jupiter conjunction, which would basically speak for a victory or a great expansion. Jupiter is all about optimism and forward-looking and celebration and whatever you call it. However, now have a look at that. If we go to the American Nations chart, in this axis, this is Chiron, the wounded healer. Exactly that theme of the sacred wound, which gets us going, which activates us as not just a nation but as a planet, because this is way bigger than just the soil of the United States. Juan O Savin, I guess he is also saying that America is much more than a country, it's an idea. It's an idea which was born in 1776, in that powerful year, which sparked that idea of a new world, new freedom, new way of living, the American Constitution being a marvel, a wonderful piece of art, of understanding how we can live together in harmony and be prosperous. So in a short way said, this is the activation of that sacred wound energy which happened yesterday and today. Also interesting that this 22nd degree of Pisces, which was rising when Mars and Uranus had their conjunction, which, as I say, is the most important aspect of that day, of yesterday. Here at the 22nd degree of Virgo, that's where the American nation's Neptune is, and the Black Moon. Neptune, all about deception, fog, things being not clear, and even more so with the Black Moon here. So here up in the 9th house, this is the gullibility of the people, that they are so easily tricked into mind control and believing all the wrong storylines. So this is kind of what we are waking up from. Not just the American people, they have done already their fair share. They have actually, they are the leading edge, so to say. It's interesting that this is up in the 9th house, so they have to become aware of this in probably more than many other nations have now, that they had been played. Anyway, this was at the root of this chart. And here, this is the area of hexagram 39, obstruction at the ascendant, and 38 at the descendant, which is opposition, the clash of two opposing forces. So this is kind of the setup. And if we now go into what's coming in the next 10 days, and we were talking about that, my wife and I, and she said, well, that's the 10 days of darkness we are now having. Probably what the good guys learned was you can't give too much information away, because everything they're telling us to keep our spirits up and such, the other side hears it too. So for this military operation to be successful, likely they have to cut down on information. So we will probably be in a vacuum for a while, not knowing what's really going on. We have to prepare for that, and just to know that we have to support each other through that and keep the good spirits up. Just want to tease you here quickly with this chart. This is the spring equinox 2021, March 20. That is kind of the end of that proposed 45 to 60 days. Juan O Savin is kind of mentioning that this is how long it will take for this process to come full circle of having that whole fraud resolved and dealt with, because that is too big. That is just too big. There's too many people who voted for President Trump 80 million for sure, maybe even more than that. And worldwide, as I say again, many people know and are helping, supporting with their energy that we are doing the right thing of standing up and fighting for the truth to come out. This chart is beautiful. It has Jupiter rising. That's the moment when the sun will cross the line from Pisces into Aries, the spring equinox, when the sun is standing exactly vertical above the Earth's equator, when there is a perfect balance of light and dark, when there will be 12 hours of day, 12 hours of night, all over the globe from the south to the North Pole. Very special moment, powerful seed point. So with Jupiter here in the 20th degree and right on the ascendant, this in itself is beautiful. There's many more things I could mention about this chart. So just keep this in mind. This is kind of where we are heading to. So if you now go back to the shorter next few days, then this will be not an easy time. We are heading into a full moon on the 28th. The sun conjunct Jupiter. So again, this is that whole energy I'm seeing here of that false celebration of everything being just fine and wonderful. Let's make peace now, overcome divisions, and then whatever the whole C things that I don't want to mention the name, the C19 thing, that already is now on its way out, because now the right people are in power. They don't need that anymore. So in many ways, it's kind of a pacifying falsehood which we are seeing sneaking in right now. Then on the 30th, actually, Mercury turns retrograde, and this will be probably the turning point. So the turning point in the sense of awakening, of many people all of a sudden catching on. Oh, okay, this is not really what we wanted to have in our country. Did we really choose these people? Who are they? What have they really done here to this wonderful land and this great president? Anyway, all these questions will come up, and why I say that Arrokoth is at midheaven again. Arrokoth was at the 4th house cusp last new moon. That was the 13th. And I already then said this would be initiating a waking up process. Arrokoth is the one which sees the whole picture, puts all the pieces of the puzzles together, gets the integrated synthesis. It's kind of the planet of awakening, I would say. And furthermore, on that day, there is right. Okay, yeah, we see. Okay, this is that whole Taurian energy. So I think that's when resistance really will start regrouping in a unprecedented way, as there will be a military government coming into the forefront and more pushing these clowns into a dead corner, isolating them, cutting them off here and there, as I showed you before, already happening on the level of the Pentagon. So that's okay. There's one more I want to mention, which is Chariklo. Chariklo is the midwife. Bringing us fully into that Aquarius energy of the New Age. That new time has been initiated in stages, you would say. And I guess the biggest step up was the December 21st conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn in that very first degree of Aquarius. Chariklo is the one which kind of accompanies us, holds our hand as we are getting born into this new age, and we are still not fully there. Chariklo will change into Aquarius on the 27th. This last degree of Capricorn is a critical degree, as is the first. These are turbulent zones with lots of eddies and chaotic movements, unpredictable in many ways. So it's kind of a final conclusion of that Capricornian energy. It almost is as we would have to fully feel that hardship and that narrowness, control, all that negative Capricorn energy of New World Order, you name it, coming all to kind of a pinnacle to stand out so everybody can see. And then on the 27th, as we move into Aquarius, then the narrative will shift. Not that it would be immediately resolved, but will be a new vision which is coming in. It's kind of we will be coming out on the other end of the tunnel, so to say. So that is to come on the 27th, a day to keep in mind. Also very close to that Sun-Jupiter conjunction, so there will be definitely a wave of positive energy around. We just have to use it to our advantage. And as these clowns are celebrating and thinking they have all won and they have accomplished what they wished for and everything is good and they will be forever, we have to use that opportunity and do the right things in their shadow when they're totally blinded by their success. That's kind of the energy we are in. There will be, and that's what shows up here, that interception of the sign of Aquarius in the third house. There will probably be a limitation of information flow, as I mentioned before. That darkness, nobody knows where we're at. It's kind of an incubation period in that sense. There's no house cusps running through the sign of Aquarius. You see, the house cusps are kind of where these cosmic energies get attached like with strings to our earthly domain. So that whole Aquarian domain has no direct connection to the three-dimensional world for a while. It's kind of cut off, separated in a bubble. That will be interesting, and as we know why this is necessary, this will help us to navigate through it and just work undercover in small groups, connect with friends and family, and build all the new connections, establish them more and build them out. Prepare and hold your power. Don't give in, be strong. We can pull through that. It's just another 2 months at the most. So again, thank you for listening to my broadcast here, and talk to you again soon. Love you all. Thank you.